Yep, it's on. How's everybody doing today? This is going to be the part 2 to that 102 DL3, the 1997 that we cranked the other day. So what we're going to do today is we're going to drive it across the pit, and we're going to look at the undercarriage. We're going to look at brakes, suspension, all that other stuff, kind of look underneath and just see overall, you know, if there hardly isn't anything wrong with the bus underneath, we may just put a transmission in it, send it on its way, maybe sell it to somebody else, make a good bus for somebody. So I think it'd be cool to look underneath. So let's go over a couple things about that bus. A few people in the comments mentioned that that bus had 2024 IFTA stickers on it. Well, that's true. Like I stated in the other video, the company that used to own that bus, they pulled it off the road at the end of 2019 because that bus was not shifting correctly about 6 years ago. And it sat there. Then COVID happened, so they didn't use the bus and it continued to sit there. In 2024, they hired several mechanics to come out and try and repair that bus. None of them could get it repaired. None of them could figure out what was wrong with it. They put new batteries in it. That's probably why the antifreeze was full to the top, because several people had tried to work on it. In the bus business, if you need a bus and a mechanic says, look, I think I can fix it, you go ahead and get everything that you need. In the bus industry, there's a lot of bus companies that they're getting the bus ready Thursday to go out Friday. Anyway, long story short is the bus was sitting 6 years. If you want to see what we found wrong with it, we'll put a link in the description for that video. It was pretty simple. It was a broke wire on the master switch. But we're going to check this bus out. We're going to kind of look at the rest of it underneath and do a DOT inspection on it and just see what else is wrong with it, and then we'll make a determination from there. I've said this several times, but I've bought several of these buses, and you can see we have a boneyard out here full of buses. And so we part them out. We also have a full service shop here. I buy a lot of buses sight unseen, put them out here if people are frustrated with them, things like that. So we'll put them out here, we'll use them for parts. I would be inclined to take a bus like this one and fix everything on it and video every step of the way and show you guys how to fix the bus up from start to finish. If it needs brakes, we'll put brakes on it. If it needs transmission, we'll do the transmission job. And I'll carry you along and teach you guys how to do that. But y'all just have to tell me if you're interested in that. If you're not interested in that, we won't do it. If you're just interested in me starting them, fixing them, and showing you tips in the shop, then that's what we'll do. But y'all just have to let me know in the comments. Let's get in this bus and see if she still starts from the other day. And we're gonna drive it in the shop and check it out. Oh yeah. You can't beat an old DL, I'll tell you. I don't think that air pressure gauge is correct because it's still showing that it has 100 PSI. I highly doubt that. I bet that needle's not working. Coolant, we got good oil pressure. It seems the fuel gauge might be working, and we're charging. We know the TVs don't work. We got floor horn. All right, let's move her. She's aired up now. Well, the door doesn't work. I don't remember if I noticed that the last time. So we're gonna pull it shut manually. And latch it. All right. Oh, let's see. Get her in the shop. I've got a little helper today helping me get some extra shots. All right, now we got it in the shop. We're gonna do a DOT inspection on it and we're gonna check it out from here. If y'all haven't seen the minion on a stick, it's something my daughter gave me. People were saying they couldn't follow what I was doing on inspections. So just follow the minion and you'll see what I'm talking about. So let's look under this thing. I hear several air leaks in the back already. Let's see, let's set this stuff down. Hold on. Spiders galore under here. Wait, look at the snail. And roaches. There's a roach right there. So what happens, you get parked out in the field. So the airbag doesn't look too bad. The brakes don't look bad. Let me shine the light up here. So you can see they're a little bit out of adjustment, but they're not bad. This one, you can see, if you look at the bottom of the hub, see that wet spot right there? Might have a weeping seal. Let's look at this side. Yeah, we do. If you look in there between the wheel, well, look, let me get the minion. You look in there, right in between that crack right there, you could just see that wheel seal, and you can see she's a little weepy. So we would have to pull that off and replace that seal. If you were to attempt to use this coach, let's say you're like, all right, I'm gonna drive it to Virginia. Well, most likely that seal would fail at this point. Look at all the little spiders. Sorry, got distracted. Tanks don't look bad. I don't hear or see any leaks on these tanks. The dryer looks fairly new. We don't know how long it's been in there, so it'd probably be a good idea to service it. The sway bar links look decent. There is some dry rotting on the radius rod bushings, so that would be something that would need to be addressed. See how rotted those bushings are. This sway bar bushing is done for. Look at this. This one needs to be serviced. Look, the rubber's all gone out of it. It's just clinking around. Shock bushings look decent. I don't see. So these DLs came with options. So if you notice, we've got a shock here. And we've got a shock here, which is incorrect. So this bus came with the option of 4 shocks. So if you look, it's missing the shock here. Hold on a second. Let me grab a different light because this one's not working. I can't multitask with it. Now we can see better. All right, if you look right here, you go back to what I was saying. This bus comes with 2 options. This bus came with, you could get a DL with 2 shocks on the front, or you could get it what they call the heavy duty with 4 shocks on the front. And if you notice this mount right here, okay, that mount, and then if you look way up there, let me zoom in, there's the other mount right there. This bus is supposed to have 4 shocks on it. And how I know that is because it has the mounts on it. It's not if you want extra shocks, you can mount them on there. It either only came with 2 mounts or it came with 4 mounts. And if it came with 4 mounts, they're usually offset from each other, which means there would be a shock here, and then there would be a shock here. Not there and there. Does that make sense? So they're usually offset. Right there in itself, this would need 4 shocks. I don't see anything leaking. The front end doesn't look too bad, really. All right, so let's take a squirt bottle and let's check some stuff. Like this union shouldn't be there. And we'll check the main air line. We'll check to make sure the check valve isn't leaking. We'll hit these leveling valves. They're a common leak. This has got the Neil system on it, so that's why it's got 2 valves up front. I made a previous video about check valves and filters, okay? So this bus right here, if you look right here, this is supposed to be a filter, not a check valve. A lot of people put a check valve right there and it causes issues. If you put a check valve right there, you can cause issues with your gauges, and you can have various other issues of air pressure staying instead of working its way down, because air can't get back to this tank. There should be constant flow from that tank right there. That right there is supposed to be a filter, not a check valve. Now these 2 right here, that is a check valve and that is a check valve. They are supposed to be check valves. So those are correct. If you paid attention to the last video, if you haven't seen that one, we'll link that one also. But that's why I made that video, because a lot of people make that mistake. Let's see, we'll hit these tank tanks. I don't hear anything leaking, but I always like to squirt these tanks down where the brackets go. They clamp together, because right there where they clamp together is a common place for a tank to leak. Everything looks good. We're not going to check the kingpins. If we jack up the bus, I take the tires off, we'll look at the kingpins when we do the wheel seal, but we're not going to do that today. Everything else up here looks okay. All right, so let's crank her back up and we'll drive her forward. We got several switch lights out. Let's see, driver's light. Driver's light works. Step lights. Step light. Let's see. Open the door back up. Step light doesn't work. Let's look at the aisle lights. Several aisle lights out. There's one out there. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 of them out. It's not too bad, I guess. A lot of people asked me what this was right here. This is for the driver's air conditioner. This bus right here. In the other DLs, in the older ones, they had 2 levers right here. One for fresh air and one for driver's heat and AC. They have since moved it on some of the later ones to this box right here. They only did it for a little while because it was a bad design and it didn't work very well, so they ended up going back to the levers on the newer ones. And then once Micromax comes, you don't have those anymore at all. So like after 2003, you can pretty much guarantee that's your Micromax. All right. Wiper. Wiper works. Wiper works. Doesn't park though. We'll cut this off. We've got a couple tore brackets right here. Let me see, it's tore. All right, let's see if we can find this air leak. All right, so we found it. So if we look up there, all right, you see it? That's what's leaking, is that is what pivots this rear axle for the rear steer. So if you're going forward, it pivots one way. If you're going backwards, it pivots the other way. And that cylinder itself is leaking. So back here, you've got, if you look right here in this shock right here, see this wetness right here? This shock will need to be replaced. If you look at this airbag definitely needs to be replaced. Probably the same with the, you're showing slight dry rotting on this bag right here. A little bit of dry rotting. I would replace all four. You've got a cracked up bump stop right there. See that bump stop? And look at that bolt right there in the top of that airbag. You have to be real careful with these D coaches. If you decide you want to work on the airbags, see that bolt hanging out right there? That's not a good sign. So these brakes are wore out. This bus will need drive axle brakes. If you look at the, it's hard to get in here. If you look at that, where that roller is in correlation to the cam, see how it's almost to the tip? That right there means that the drive brakes are wore out. You can't just look at the shoes. You have to consider the fact of how wore out the drum is, and the drum has a pretty deep groove in it. So you can't just consider, oh, the pads look, I mean, you can look at them and tell that they're kind of down, they're almost to the wear line. But like you can see, I'll zoom up here to the top. Let's look at the top. You see that? They're almost down to the wear line. You can't go by that. You have to take into effect the wear of the drum and the wear on the shoes themselves to determine where the roller is. So right there, this bus would need drive brakes. And then you also need lower radius rods. Look how wore out these bushings are. And here's this one right here. The tops need to be replaced also. You can see the rust. See all the rust? Do you see all the rust coming out right here? That's because that bushing is rusting right there. There's probably no rubber left, and it's just rust powder coming out of it. And then if you look right here, if we look up there, if you look at this, this is the shock. So that shock needs to be addressed. Let's look at the other side. It don't look too bad. Still probably needs to be addressed. Another area you want to check on these D coaches is this tubing right here. Let's back up. This tubing right here will rot out. This one's in actually really good shape. It's in pretty good shape. Most of the time they will rot out. They'll almost break off. Another thing that you want to inspect is these bolts right here. So you see these bolts, how they bolt that to the bottom beam? These will also rust and break off. And these are not even tight anymore. These would have to be addressed. As you can see, they're not tight. Somebody's done worked on that before. And we're missing the tag shock. So let me get my minion on a stick. So you see this shock, it goes up there. Then you come to this side, what shock? It's gone. Just been whoop, gone. If you look at these set of brakes right here, how I can stick this, here's the minion on a stick. Now I'm going to take the back end of this rod and I can damn near stick it in. Let's see if I can do this one-handed. Between the drum and the shoe. In certain spots. Just stick it in right there. You can see it, I can almost stick it in there. And that brake is way out of adjustment. And then this one right here, if you see this oil that's leaking now, that wheel seal will need to be addressed. Same with these tag lower bushings. That one's wore out. Look at this one right here. This one's beyond wore out. Bushings all the way out. This transmission, I would say we need to address whatever's leaking right here, but I checked the fluid and the fluid is full in it. It does look burnt and black, almost black. It looks like dark brown, almost blackish. I definitely think that there's a problem with the transmission. It looks like this plug somebody's had out recently. I don't know what to tell you on that. It's most likely will just need a transmission, which is, you know, it's not a bad deal. If all this bus, well, I wouldn't say that all. So far we found the bus needs front shocks, front sway bars, radius rods on the front, upper and lower, radius rods on the drive, upper and lower, radius rods on the tag, upper and lower. Lower, not upper. The upper piece that needs to be replaced is the axle tilt. It needs bearings checked in the front. It needs bearings checked in the back. It needs wheel seals on the front. It needs wheel seals on the back. It needs drive axle brakes. It needs the drive axle airbags checked out and the frame checked out above. Also needs the tag axle wheel bearings and seals replaced. Also needs tag axle airbags. Another thing you'll have to fix is the doors. And somebody said that they never put R22 in buses. They were for residential use only. That's not true at all. I'll show you guys in a second. Let's take a look at these clutches. The clutches look to be in good shape. The other day I pointed out that we would need the framework repaired. See the bolt missing? And then up there you've got a bolt missing there. And then you've got splices in these lines, which I don't like. And then, as you could tell, this is not factory. When somebody strings up the test switch, the fans run all the time. So we would have to sort that out also. And then this is, someone asked me the other day, how can I tell that this is a air-cooled alternator? And you can tell by the vent. And you can look underneath here. Let me turn my light on. And you could see where they capped the pan off. So right there, see where they capped the drain? That would be where the drain would go for the oil-cooled alternator when someone converted it. Another helpful tip, when you're checking belts out on a bus, belts are made out of different materials. It's not like checking your Ford F-150 from 1986 with V-belts on them. And you can look right here, let me zoom in. So if I can get it to focus, sometimes this camera is frustrating to me. All right, there you go. See that cracking right there? Yes, they will crack. But here's the thing is, most importantly, what you want to look at on a belt is if you look at the side right here. So do you see how wore the side is? So these belts will wear on the side before they will crack most of the time. And what will happen is you'll look at them and you'll say, these belts are not cracked, they're good. But look at this. Do you see how in this pulley, the belts sit inside the grooves? So that's fine at idle, but under load, most likely that belt is slipping inside those pulleys because they're so wore out. Most of the time, the edges wear out on the belt. And once the edges wear out on the belt, then the belt starts to heat up because it slips. Then it starts to crack and then it breaks. And same thing with this belt right here. Do you see how this belt is wore sideways? Like you can look at it from this way. See how you can't see the belt? And then it's even on this end, but on this end, you see that where the shiny mark was, where it used to rub? It's in there sideways. So that belt is wore slap out. It needs to be replaced. So overall, like we thought, the bus does need work, but it's not bad. Question is, what do you think I should do? Here is a apparently a giant hole above the light too. I'm not sure what that's about. So yeah, see, we're missing that condenser fan right there. Wires are taped off. That one doesn't look like it's in too bad a shape. The AC doesn't look bad, and it looks like it's got a fairly new coil on it too. So that's not bad at all. Then we'll come over here to my toolbox. All right, so we're gonna go to my stuff. We're gonna go to the D-Coach book. Let's go to 16, which is air conditioning. And then we're gonna go to, let's say, condenser compartment. All right, and then if you look really carefully right here, it says condenser compartment installation with R22 or with R134A. The point of this video is this. The reason I make it is the outside of the bus looks great. Let's say you pretend that you were going to purchase this bus. You're going to the location. You get there. The bus starts up. The AC is in good shape. You get in the bus and we'll pretend that the transmission worked fine. Drove it down the road and back and everything seemed okay. The guy says, hey, I maintained it and everything should be good to go. And then you bring it to me and you say, I need a DOT inspection on it so I can get my plates. And I get under the bus and I find that the shocks are missing on the front. The wheel seal's weeping. The bearings need to be checked. The radius rods are rotted on the front. And then I go to the back of the bus and I find that the drive axle shock's bushing's missing. Tag axle shock is missing. It needs drive brakes. The wheel seal is leaking on the back. You have a major air leak above the tag axle. The radius rods, upper and lower, need to be replaced on the drive axle. And the tag axle wheel seals need to be addressed and the lower radius rods need to be addressed. The axle needs to be bolted back together. And the actuator that tilts the axle back and forth, that air leak needs to be addressed. You need to fix the fans on the back, replace the belts, and repair some aisle lights on it. And then I say the estimate's going to be $20,000. And people are like, $20,000? Why would it be $20,000? Well, I mean, by the time you get done buying all that stuff and having somebody install them and get all that stuff done, it's going to be $15,000, $20,000 by the time it's all said and done. And so I say that not to say don't buy buses. I say that to say just be aware of that before you purchase the bus and think that you're going to buy this bus and you're going to drive it down the road. You're going to pick this up today on Friday. And on Monday, it's a decent bus. You're going to start running trips with it. That's not the case. So if you're going to get into the bus business and you're going to do this, I've been doing this a long time. If you get a bus, 35 to 45% of your net profit is going to be maintenance. Every time this bus goes out, something will break. Doesn't matter if it's a 1947 bus or a 2024 bus. Something will break. It may be small, but something will break. Something will have an issue. Something will need to be addressed somewhere on the bus. Every trip it goes out on. That's the reason why they require you to do a pre-trip inspection on commercial vehicles, because they know that these large pieces of equipment are very complicated and they always break. So you have to make a choice. If you're going to buy a bus so that you can charter it, you need to set that money to the side so that you have money to fix them when they break, not if they break, when they break. If you're getting a bus to save money so that you don't have to pay a charter bus company to run your runs for you, then a bus is an expense. It's not a savings, it's an expense. It's just cheaper than getting charter companies to charter for you. If you're getting a bus for an RV because you want to put your family on it, you want to put your friends on it, and you want to have a good time, it's important to buy a bus that is inspected and checked out and gone through. You cannot just look at the outside of a bus and determine that it is a good bus by walking around it and driving it down the road. Buses are pretty durable. They will handle a lot. You can miss a lot of things that's unsafe on the bus. As a person that's seen accidents, that's been in this field a long time, all it takes is one thing to mess up and your family trip has turned into a nightmare and something that has stained your family forever. I know a lot of people that buy buses and they use them as RVs, and they have a great time, and they have spent their lives doing it, and they will not trade that for 1 minute. But all those people know the value of maintaining them and fixing them and knowing the equipment that they get in order to keep them on the road. I just want to say this, not to bore you guys, but to just tell everybody, because I see a lot of people come through my shop here in North Carolina that buy a bus for the first time, and they pay 50 grand for it, 100 grand for it, 200 grand for it, $600,000 for it. And they come through this shop, or it gets towed here, and we go through it, and I walk with them just like I'm bringing you guys along underneath the bus, and I show them all these same problems. And they go, wow, I cannot believe that I just spent $400,000 on this bus, and I need to put $50,000 in it for it to get an inspection. In my experience, if somebody is pushing that it is DOT ready, then you need to have the bus checked out. Because normal people will not tell you 100 times that it's DOT ready. If it is DOT ready, people that will tell you that when it's not DOT ready. If someone tells you they have a special process and they have a 120-point system that they go over buses with, and they check them out from front to back and fix everything wrong with them from front to back, I would be leery of that, because in my experience, statistically speaking, every bus that I've looked at, I would say a good 80% of them, that's all BS. They did not. You know, somebody pencil whipped the crap out of that form. Yeah, it has tires. Boom. It has airbags. Boom. They're still there. They might not be good, but they're still there. You know, oil leaks. Boom. Has plenty. You know, just gone through them. So just be mindful of that. It's kind of sad in this world that you can't take somebody's word at face value anymore when they say, hey, I fixed this, or it's good to go. You can't do that anymore. And it's unfortunate, and it's the way of the world is. So I just want everyone here to be careful. Everybody works. I work hard for my money. I know that some of y'all work hard for your money, and it is a poor shame to give your money, $50,000 or $100,000, to somebody that is just, and I'll use this perfect example. There was a customer that came in at the beginning of the year, and this is the reason I started making YouTube videos. The person came in at the beginning of the year, and he was about to buy a bus, and he was about to pay $150,000 for this RV. And they brought it through my shop, and they wanted me to do an inspection. And I knew this guy. He came out of South Carolina. We've been friends a long time. And he said, Brandon, I really want you to look at this bus before I buy it. And I'm so glad he did, because he brought it in, and I looked at it, and it looked beautiful on the outside. The inside, the conversion was wonderful. I pulled it across the pit, and we started checking it out. And we found that the frame was literally broken in half. And what they had done is they had spray foamed the section that was broken in half and rotted and missing, spray foamed it, shaved it off, bondoed over top of it, and painted it with a rubber undercoating. And I got underneath, and everything looked good because they had painted it from front to back. And I was looking at it, everything looked good. And the only reason I noticed that there was something messed up was because I drove it across the pit, and I could see the spray foam coming out from in the frame where they could maybe get under and get to, and I could see it. And I reached up there and beat on the frame with my fist, and actually broke that entire section off and held it in my hand. So if he had bought that bus for $150,000 as is, and signed all the paperwork as is, no warranty, whatever, he could have possibly sued them and got the money back. But he also could have very possibly got on the bus, and his family would have been quite hurt if they would have gotten an accident. Or that he would have got it back to his home state of South Carolina, and it might not have passed inspection or anything like that. So I don't even know if South Carolina's got inspections anymore, but I'm just saying. With that being said, y'all tell me, what should I do with it? I'll leave it up to you guys. Should I fix the bus? Should I part it out? Should I fix it up and carry you guys along, pull the front wheels off, clean the hubs up, and just show you the process from point A to point B to get this bus fully done? And then I will show you what the cost was minus my labor to fix everything, so that everybody sees, you know, how much it costs to do it, how much money you could save if you did it yourself. But how to check out a bus, the key thing is knowing the small things. My grandfather always told me a smart man knows everything about one thing and a little bit about everything. An ignorant man knows everything about everything. So educate yourselves with a little bit of everything and don't pretend to know everything about everything. So you guys tell me what I should do with this bus. I appreciate you guys joining. If this was boring, I'm sorry. If there's a lot of talking, I'm sorry. But I just wanted to carry you along because a lot of people said, fix it, fix it, fix it, fix it. But, you know, not knowing what's underneath was the key. So I figured I'd bring you guys along to show you that. Thanks for watching. I appreciate you guys. I look forward to the next one.